Hello. Today we're going to talk about glycolysis, or the first step of cellular respiration. And let's start by taking a closer look at the word glycolysis. This glyco part might sound familiar to you, like glucose, and glucose is a sugar. So glycolysis literally means sugar, and then lysis comes from like lysosome or like Lysol cleaner. Those are things that basically break things down to clean them up. So lysis literally means break. So glycolysis is breaking a sugar. And what sugar is that? That would be the glucose that came from photosynthesis. So whenever we eat food, we take in glucose and other plant sugars, and then our body is able to break them down to release the energy. So this is going to happen in the cytoplasm of a cell. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 6 carbons to represent a 6-carbon glucose. And basically, stuff is going to happen, and it's going to split that molecule into 2 3-carbon molecules. And when we broke that bond, we released energy. Both plants and animals do cellular respiration. This is different because before only plants did photosynthesis. Now we can see that both plants and animals, actually, and everything living, bacteria, fungus, everything does cellular respiration to be able to make energy. And then what's going to happen after glycolysis, big picture, is these little carbon molecules are going to enter the mitochondria, and then like more steps will happen that we're going to learn about later. So these guys are going to enter the mitochondria, and then other stuff is going to happen later. And remember that energy is stored in bonds. So when we broke that bond, we released this energy. That's the purpose of glycolysis, to break this bond and to release energy. And make sure that you took note of the fact that glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm. So not in the mitochondria, in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, let's go ahead and take a closer look now. I'm going to draw the steps, but in a little bit more detail. We'll move this over here so that everybody can see. So we are starting with our 6-carbon glucose model that came from the food that we eat, that originally came from photosynthesis. And the first thing that's going to happen is we need to be able to actually put energy in so that a change can occur. We're going to put energy in the form of ATP in, and then we are going to use that energy to be able to add phosphates to the glucose. So this up here is glucose. And this down here is a 6-carbon molecule that's had phosphates added to it. So now it's a very unstable 6-carbon molecule that is, fortunately for us, going to break in 2. So it is going to break into 2 3-carbon molecules. Each one of these molecules is called pyruvate. And everything that we care about basically happened when we broke that bond and energy was released. We get energy in the form of ATP, like 4 ATPs come out. And we also get energy in the form of electrons, so 2 NADHs come out. Remember, that is our electron carrier. So like over here, we would have had like our empty electron carrier that in this reaction is called NADP+, NAD+. And then over here, we have our high energy electron carrier coming out, and that's why it gets a name change of NADH. And then we also have the 4 ATP molecules. Did we create this energy, like energy in the form of ATP and electrons? No, we did not. We broke this bond right here that was the same as this bond, and then we transformed the energy into ATP and NADH. So the purpose of glycolysis is to break glucose and capture that energy in the form of ATP and NADH. And then the two pyruvates are going to enter the mitochondria, and they're going to continue to be broken down through steps 2 and 3 that we'll talk about later. Let's look at the big picture, what we have. So glycolysis took energy to happen, right? So we technically don't get to say that we made 4 ATP because we had to put in 2 ATP up here and we get out 4 down here. That means we only get an overall gain of 2 ATP because 2 of them have to go back to replace so glycolysis can continue. We didn't have to put any electron energy in, so we also can say that we made 2 NADH. And of course, don't forget the 2 pyruvate molecules that are going to continue on the cellular respiration trail so that we can break them down even more. I want to mention that this is only a little bit of energy, but it happens very, very fast. And like that makes up for the fact that we didn't make energy. It's also worth noting that glycolysis is anaerobic. That means that it doesn't require oxygen to occur. So think about like you're working out, you're running, you're really working your leg muscles, and you use up all your oxygen. Like that's a problem because the rest of cellular respiration requires oxygen. So if you want to be able to keep working out, you need a different way to make ATP. Fortunately for you, we're able to use glucose because it's anaerobic. We're able to use glycolysis because it doesn't require oxygen. So even if there's no oxygen around, we can still use glycolysis to be able to make a little bit of ATP.